Well, good afternoon, everyone. I am super excited about today. I've done traditional presentations in the past where I've talked through some of the school district successes that we've had, and I'll do a little bit of that at the end because I know that's an important part of why I'm here today. But you may remember a year or two ago, I did a choose your own adventure sort of thing where we chose people from the audience to help direct how we gave the presentation, and that was kind of fun. And I thought, well, what's something that I haven't done before? Well, that's to give you a story that you can take with you when you leave today. And so that's really what my whole goal is that you leave here with a story that you can tell either tonight around the dinner table or tomorrow when you're at work or sometime out in our community, because I think we have this opportunity to tell really cool stories about what happens in our schools every day. So everybody just take a deep breath. It's going to be fine. We're going to do something together. I have about 24 kids out there in the foyer that are going to come in here, and we're going to do a design build challenge together. Now, before we bring them in and get started, yes, you're going to lose to them. Just right up front. Plan on losing. It's okay. It's a learning opportunity for you. But so before we get started, just a couple of rules about how this is going to go for all of us. So this is a result of our choice schools. And as you know, we've been on an aggressive campaign to build out these choice pathways for our students. And so I'm just going to put up here some of the work that we've done in our elementary schools alone. But what this amounts to is this is about a almost $15 million investment in our campuses to build choice pathways for students so that they can matriculate through our system from pre-K all the way through high school and make sure that every single student finds their own genius and pursues that genius in pursuit of their and. Now, their and means that when they graduate high school, they either have employment, enlistment, or enrollment. They've got something besides a high school diploma. That's our goal. Well, this almost $15 million, you must be thinking, wow, where did you find money in your budget to do that? We didn't. We actually went out and wrote grants for all of it. We didn't come to you, the community. We said, look, we're going to put this on our own shoulders. We're going to build this ourselves. We're going to make it work. And so that's what we've done. So what you're going to see is some of our STEM students come into the room here in just a minute and take you through the challenge. Now, this will be the challenge. This was the real world problem statement that our elementary students, like kindergartners, first graders, were faced with. I'll read it for you in the back if you can't see it. The city of Victoria has contracted your engineering company to help build them a bridge to cross over a large river in a neighboring city. It's up to you to determine what type of bridge you would build and have the strength for the task and stay within the budget. So the driving question, you and your partner, you were given a challenge of $70,000 to buy the materials that you need in order to build this bridge. Teaching finances, teaching economics, teaching thoughtful, critical thinking, so on and so forth. Don't worry, you don't have to do the budget stuff. We've already got that for you. You got a bag of stuff in front of you to expedite this. So you're going to get about 5 minutes to imagine and plan. This is your planning phase. This is the design phase. This is not the work phase. You're going to imagine and plan. And we're going to have students help you. They're going to have some guiding questions for you. Can you all do what I do? In about 5 minutes after the imagine planning starts, I'm going to do this. Can you all put your hands in the air? Excellent. This is how we're going to get order back in the classroom because it's going to be really loud and messy. So when you see me put my hand in the air, that's your cue to put your hand in the air and then quiet. So when you've done 5 minutes of design, then you're going to get to create it and test it and improve it. And the students have some guiding questions that they're going to have help you out with that too. That'll take about 10 minutes. And then finally, I'll put my hand in the air. And when I put my hand in the air, you'll put your hand in the air. And then you're going to get about 5 minutes with the students, just you and the students, to ask any questions that you might like to ask them. Like, how did you feel about this learning experience? If you want to ask them about their learning experience, that would be great. I can feel the anticipation in the room. So with that, I'm going to ask the students to come in. So we have our students in the room, hands in the air. Oh, look at you, you did a great job. All right, so we've got our students in the room. They're gonna float between the tables. Obviously there's a lot more adults here than we'd expected. That's great, we're gonna have the students float between the tables. It's now time to start your building. So this is where you create, test, and improve. Off you go. and gentlemen, I know you could keep doing this all afternoon, but we are done. Students, please take the iPads, please take the Sphero balls. You can head to that back corner. And with that, I will bring everybody else back to the presentation.
$70,000 budget that you can successfully drive your Sphero across. Okay. So these are going to be your river. Okay, hold on. Let me get her.
No, like you said, like one iPad's in your room. Yeah, that's true. I bought these like
We just need to make sure that we're mindful of how we're building it to make sure that we're not buckling our bridge like we did our spaghetti noodle, right?
I was thinking we could do a cable stay because it's basically a beam except extra support and then 2 extra cables so we could use like craft sticks as the cable. But this one will be better because it has all these bars here so it can help. So in case if we push down, the force won't go down fast. And it has bars under and the 2 things on the side to make us balance more.
So for the piers, we can use our regular straw leaf and we can cut 1 inch or 1 inch to 2 inches each straw.
For the base, I think we can use like Play-Doh cups. I think.
We don't need that many anymore. We got too many. What do we use from? I think I tape on them.
Firstly,
Wait, here's our boxes.
I'm also gonna have to use another piece of tape so that way our robot right here is able to.
The Play-Doh is so long, it's destroyed. Okay. So, but what if it falls anyway?
Wow. Because I need more marshmallows. That's not enough.
Sphero, to cross it, he's on like the sides.
We tried to make a suspension bridge and it didn't go so well. When we put the support on the sides, the Play-Dohs was falling apart and the straws had the stretch on them. It wasn't really working for what we were trying to do and it kept on falling apart. And
We had to get the wood sticks from another group that they let us borrow, and we had to take them and like try to put them on the edge, but like they wouldn't stick. So we tried another bridge, but it still wouldn't work. We should have bought Play-Doh so the bottom of the bridge would stand up. So
Yeah, so we kind of had like a disadvantage towards other people because they ran out of dictionaries and there was lack of resources. So we had to trade some of our stuff for some of the other people's stuff. So we communicated with other people in order to get the resources that we needed and wanted.
We had to, the trial and error really helped it so that we could see what worked and what didn't work.
Okay, so those are some stories that you get to hear about our kids. And the thing is, Sometimes I'll glance at Facebook and I'll see these horribly negative stories about our kids and about our schools and about our teachers. And it just cuts me to the bone because the schools I get to walk through every day are schools that show kind of like what you got to see here today. And I'm not saying that these two things are not mutually exclusive. They can both exist. Like sometimes our kids struggle in school. Yes, that's true. I'm not saying that's not true. But I think it's also true that sometimes our kids do amazing things in school, where kids get to do critical thinking, and they get to do real collaboration, and they get to do real communication, and they get to do design thinking, engineering challenges when they're in elementary school. And you didn't get the chance to even see them do their programming on those Sphero balls, but they're learning computer programming with those Sphero balls. And this is all stuff they're going to be able to apply. And so I hope you'll help me tell positive stories about our schools, tell positive stories about our kids, tell positive stories about our teachers, because there are amazing things happening in our schools. And how do I know that there are amazing things happening in our schools? I have data. I have real data. I have honest to goodness real data, and I'm going to talk fast, so you've got to listen fast because I've only got about 9 minutes, but I'm going to take you through some data. This is our gifted and talented from 2015 to 2023. This is this is almost 95% increase in the number of kids who are identified as gifted and talented in this time period. Is that not amazing? Just think about the number of opportunities that these kids are going to have, the number of challenges that they're going to have in their education as they matriculate through our system. Imagine what their future looks like when they get to middle school and high school. Almost 100%, nearly double. Let's talk about advanced placement at the high school level. If you look at East and West and the number of students who are taking advanced placement courses, we are up almost 62%. 62% since 2015, 2016. That's crazy, right? Look at this. Now, this is the number of courses that those students are taking. 195% increase. 195% increase in the period from 2015 to 2023. And this is pre-AP, by the way, at the top, pre-AP coursework. And that represents 155% increase in the number of students who are taking pre-AP coursework. So my point is, more kids are taking more pre-AP coursework, but even more than that, they're taking more courses that are pre-AP. They're just taking a harder course load overall. So this is both AP and pre-AP, but how are they doing? I'm sure you're saying, sure, they all take a bunch of classes, but how are they actually doing when it comes to their AP scores? Well, let's put that up there and let's talk about it a little bit. For the kids who are scoring 3, 4, or 5, those kids who are passing their AP exams, that increase over the period from 2017 through 2022 is 43.2%. More kids taking more AP courses, and they're performing better. They're not just sitting in these classes and failing the tests. They're sitting in these classes and they're passing the tests at a greater percentage. And I don't have a chart for this, but the percentage of kids who are economically disadvantaged who are taking the AP coursework, that's also up. So more kids who traditionally wouldn't have these opportunities to be in these courses are in these courses, and they're performing remarkably well. How about the AVID program? I know some of the folks in this room were actually at our AVID award ceremony not too long ago. AVID is this great program that helps our kids find their pathway and find their success. The increase in the number of kids who are participating in AVID since 2018 is up 269%, almost 2,000 kids. From 500 just 4 years ago, almost 2,000 kids are part of our AVID programming. And when you got to go to those ceremonies at East or West, you heard all these kids talking about every college that they were going to, or the military, or the career that they've chosen, their career tech ed and their certifications that they've earned. All of these kids are on a path to success. All of them are on a path to graduation and beyond. CTE. CTE is huge in our community. It's a really important thing. This is a very small chart. We will make sure that we put all this stuff up on the website so that you can see it. But I want to quickly talk through these statistics because these are amazing. The number of kids in agriculture at the period when this started in 2016, 2017 was 363. We now have over 1,000 kids in agriculture programming. That's a 200% increase. In architecture, we have a 2,300% increase. We've gone from 10 kids in 2016, 2017, to almost 250 kids in that programming for architecture and engineering. For arts, the increase is 300%. For business, the increase is 141%. In education, a 1,200% increase because we've launched these PTACs, right? These PTAC, high schools within a high school. We launched an education high school for our kids, and we said, look, if you want to be a teacher when you grow up, we'd love you to have you come back here and work for us. So we're going to build a program so that you can do this and come back to us. That program, 5 years ago, had 38 kids in it. It now has over 500 future teachers, kids who live here in our community and are likely to come back here and teach for us. Health sciences increased 48%. Law is up 14%. STEM is up 35%. Logistics is up almost 10%. Our kids are finding their pathways, they're finding their success, and it's amazing. It doesn't matter if it's AP, if it's dual credit, if it's CTE, doesn't matter. And here's the best part, they're all graduating. It's not like we're saying to the kids that can't do it, oh, get out. We've got kids who want to work and you've got to leave. We're actually keeping the kids. We're keeping every kid. We refuse to give up on kids. And if you want proof, just look at the chart up there. You can look back and you can see 5 or 6 years ago, we were underperforming the state average. Look all the way to the left and you see the ISD is lower than the state average when it came to graduation rates. You're looking at 3 charts. The one furthest to the left is the state graduation rate, the middle one is the VISD students, and the one to the right is the homeless students, or students who take more than 4 years to graduate. They're the kids who struggle, but they find their path eventually. If you look at that chart, the next year we kind of pulled even. And then I showed up. I'm just kidding. It's too easy. In 2018, look what happens. 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022. We outperform the state average by over 6% when it comes to our graduation rate. And if you happen to be a homeless student living in Victoria, you have a better chance of graduating high school than if you go to any school anywhere in the state of Texas. Just let that sink in for a moment. Why don't we tell that story? Why don't we tell that story? I think we should. This is some of our PTEC success, 213 college hours, 45 college hours offered per pathway, over $470,000 secured for a pathway to development. Every kid has the opportunity, if they are with us in high school, when they start with us in high school, they have a chance to jump into a PTEC pathway. It's like a golden ticket to their future. We pay for dual credit so that so many of our kids can walk across the graduation stage and they also have a diploma from Victoria College or University of Houston, our fabulous, fantastic partners. Couldn't do it without them. Finance, how are we doing on finances? Gosh, you must have blown through every penny you have in order to make this success happen. Actually, not really. You can see the glide path. This is our fund balance, and you can see our glide path just heading into the hurricane and right after the hurricane. At the lowest point in 2018, we had about $12 million in reserve cash fund, which is not nearly enough. That's like scraping bottom of the barrel and kind of a panic moment for everybody in this community, if you remember back that far. You can see where we're at now. We stand at just over 50 million. We've tripled, essentially, our fund balance. And we're putting it to good work. How does the school do in managing its finances? Well, we've got the first report up there. We actually get an A, a superior rating. We've gotten an A in superior rating for a number of years now. It's the best you can get in the state of Texas. We're pretty proud of that. And then the Government Finance Officers Association also gives us their Certificate of Achievement, which is the highest award you can win for this particular municipality. We've won that same certificate 24 years in a row consecutively. Finances are managed in VISD. You can rest assured of that. What are we doing with that fund balances? We're doing things like school safety improvements and replacing buses, and you can see some of the other stuff that we do up there. But you see, that's still not enough. Our fund balance is still not enough. I'll take school safety and security alone. Just for our personnel services, just for our sheriff's office, for instance, that we have on our own for campuses to keep our kids safe, we spend nearly $2 million per year to staff our campuses with sheriff's offices. The state reimburses us just a shade over $100,000. That's what we actually get from the state. So don't buy it for a second that we're fully funded when it comes to safety and security of our campuses. We're doing that here, we're doing it locally, and we're doing it with our fund balance, okay? So some of the things that we still need, more buses, 36, does that say 36 or 38? 36 buses still are over 15 years old and need to be replaced. 11 campuses still have roofs that are in aged and disrepair and are leaking. And you can see also $10 million in HVAC systems that need to be repaired. So we still have our work cut out for us. There's no question about it. But overall, we're in great shape. And then finally, the tax rate, the all-important tax rate. Hear a lot about tax rate. This is the lowest tax rate in over 30 years. Think back 30 years ago. Where were you 30 years ago? You don't have to say it. It's a very humbling experience. That's the last time the tax rate was this low. 30 years ago, wherever you were. It's pretty amazing. If you want to know about what's actually happening in the school district, this is the single best place that you can go. There's a QR code up on the screen. You can scan it with your phone, and you can get our School Matters newsletter. We constantly, it's every week we send out a School Matters newsletter. You can learn all the great things that are happening on our campuses. It's a great place to get the information. You can find the administration reports and all of our hot links. And I bet I have about 15 seconds for questions. Not even. Thank you all so very, very much. Thank you.